Welcome everyone to JONAHDROME episode 8 or 9. I've forgotten already. Damn it. Either way, new episode of JONAHDROME coming your way. Today, I have a special guest. His name is JESWRI. He is a street artist, very talented street artist from Australia, originally from Sydney, now Melbourne. And he is a big fan of professional wrestling, but also he has been involved in wrestling because he actually did some designs for some prominent wrestlers. So I'm going to be speaking to him today, finding out a little bit about his life and sort of how he got into art, but also how he became a fan of professional wrestling. But before we get to that, look what we have here. We have the one and only Bronson Reed,
Brasileño,
Elite 90 figurine, my very first action figure. Big thanks to Mattel for still releasing this, even though I have been released myself. Also to JESWRI, who I will be speaking to. He actually designed my wrestling gear, which is Bam Bam Bigelow inspired. And Nerds Clothing actually did the jacket. You can see the jacket on the back here. But because it is an Elite figure, it actually comes with a jacket. So I think that's the first for them to actually have one of their designs that they actually made and sold on an action figure. So very exciting. And I did want to say a few more things before we get into the interview. Of course, the big news in the wrestling world is Ring of Honor at the moment. And I just want to say my heart goes out to all of the talent there. I know that you'll all bounce back and land on your feet, much like myself. You're going to go through some hard times, but I'm sure at the end, you'll end up where you need to be, and everyone should prosper if they all work hard together. You'll be seeing me in the squared circle very soon. And until then, I have such a passion for professional wrestling that I actually will be doing a seminar this Thursday at Pro Wrestling 2.0's training center. You can go to their Instagram, which I'll leave a description below, or you can even go to their Facebook, Twitter, or their website, which is www.prowrestling20.com. You can hit them up, find out some more information, find out exactly where it is, what time, all of that jazz, and I'll actually be taking a seminar this Thursday night, something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I used to coach people back home in Adelaide. I've taken seminars all across Australia. I've also done seminars in the UK, in Europe. I was a prominent fixture in the Noah Dojo where I helped train some of the young boys there. And I myself was trained by a man who went on to coach at the WWE Performance Center, but was also trained by Antonio Inoki himself. So very much I was destroyed in Inokiism from a very young age. So I have a lot to teach people, you know, whether it comes from that side of professional wrestling, or it comes from what I have now learnt from various coaches and producers and being able to wrestle on TV every week with WWE NXT. So if you are in the Florida area, or if you can make it to Florida on this Thursday, please come out and show your support. Pro Wrestling 2.0 training facility. I'll be there to teach some wrestling. Let's get into the interview with JESWRI. All right, my guest this time on JONAHDROME is artist, one and only, JESWRI. And before I say anything else, the name is JESWRI, not JESWRI, as many people
in all caps.
think you are. Yeah, in all caps, yeah. Make sure to say it in all caps.
All caps when you spell man's name.
Of course. You are a artist, but the way that I met you was through wrestling T-shirts, graphic designer as well, and that's how I sort of got to know you. I'm wearing one of your T-shirts right now, representing.
Throwback.
A bit of a throwback, yeah, definitely. But for anyone that doesn't know you, what do you do, JESWRI?
So I'm a street artist.
Yep.
I pretty much specialize in like large scale mural installations. So I've got one coming up this week, actually. I think it's tomorrow for Adidas. So
very cool.
Yeah. So, a lot of the murals and art that I do is kind of commercial use. So I'll do the odd like private one where people get to splurge and throw me their money, and that's also cool. And I get to spend some time with people, but like the predominant amount of work is like commercial stuff. So like, brand collabs and yeah, just getting my name over a bit.
Yeah, and it seems to be
That's me.
like, for me, watching you on the social medias on Instagram and stuff like that, it seems like you're popping up more and more around the place. You're in Melbourne as we speak, but originally from Sydney, correct? Am I wrong?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No.
yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
But getting your art out there across the country, also obviously doing things online, commissions and stuff like that. Obviously with
Yeah.
wrestling, it's sort of spreading the word around the world.
Yeah.
What my favorite thing about your artwork is that it's heavily inspired by pop culture.
Heavily.
Yeah, someone like myself who loves pop culture and especially 90s.
Mm.
I love that sort of stuff. Is that sort of what got you into art? Was pop culture what made you want to become an artist, or did you have specific artists that you grew up liking?
Yeah, good question. I think, like I've always really been a pop culture fan at heart. So, I used to spend every morning before I was late for school watching Cheese TV.
Yeah,
And
same.
yeah, so, Dragon Ball and Pokemon and Sailor Moon, and I think I kind of stopped watching Cheese TV before the Yu-Gi-Oh thing came through and the Beyblades, but
Yep.
yeah, like pop culture kind of dominated and still kind of dominates my life. I read countless comic books. I watch countless movies. In the background, I'm always got like movies and music playing. So, yeah, I actually consider myself a pop artist as well. So,
Yep.
yeah, I guess like pop culture kind of got me influenced in art. So, like, I'd always practice drawing, like Spider-Man comics and stuff. I was always like really heavily influenced by like Frank Miller's comics
Yep.
and Jack Kirby's stuff as well. So like I would always try and emulate their stuff, and I always get really like inspired to do that. But it never really pushed me to do like murals and street art and stuff. That was more the graffiti element that came in high school.
Yep.
And I think, after kind of spending a lot of time in both worlds, I think I just mixed them together, and I was like, oh, I think there's a nice gap in the market here, but it's also something I really enjoy doing. So,
But like growing up, I obviously loved hip hop. I love street art.
yeah.
I was gravitated towards film as well. Like yourself, I always watching movies, but I always knew I wanted to become a professional wrestler. Did you always know that becoming an artist or working in some sort of field like that is what you wanted to do when you grew up?
Nah, man, I actually wanted to become a wrestler.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I remember just being like, I think I was in like year six, and all of my mates were into metal,
Yep.
and we're all like trying to get into skateboarding. We all kind of started skateboarding around the same time, and I just never got good at it. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'll be the artist of the group. I'll design your decks. And yeah, no, I kind of just fell into graffiti after I fell out of that crowd. But no, like when I was with that group of mates, like me and this tall, like he must have been like in year six, he must have been like over 6 foot at least.
Okay. Wow.
And we always wanted to be wrestlers, both me and him. And he, because he was tall, he was Kane, and because I was the crash test dummy, so I was Mick Foley, and I was like, I'm just gonna have like 7 gimmicks. Don't worry, Vince will let me.
I'm
And so
sure.
I
I'm sure you
wanted to.
took your choke slams, right?
I took so many choke slams. Yeah, I gave him gave him many frog splashes, but I tucked my elbows in just to make sure I hit it properly.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I wanted to become a wrestler, and just never got around to it. But my SmackDown Just Bring It got all that love for me. I had like 30 slots of wrestlers in there, so
There you go. I
but
feel.
yeah, no, I was in the same boat, I think, but I just went a
Yep.
different path.
Yeah, and I feel like obviously myself, it was sort of hard to ever dream of being a professional wrestler in Australia at that time. And if you didn't know local wrestling existed, it was sort of out of sight,
I
out of
didn't know. Yeah.
mind. Yeah, and you wouldn't have known until you actually, started becoming a part of the scene. Was there a reason, like growing up, that gravitated you towards wrestling? Like, was there something that made you a fan? Like, how do you?
Yeah.
What's your first thoughts of wrestling? Memories.
My first memories of wrestling, I've got two, but then they're quite distant from each other. So like, I got the hand-me-down toys from my half brother,
Yep.
and he gave me a bunch of the old like Boppums and stuff. I can't remember what they're called, the old WWF figures. Like the Shawn Michaels and the Marty Jannetty's, like what do they call? They
Oh
like
yeah,
flex them.
like the Hasbro ones, or are you talking
The
about
Hasbro ones.
Yeah, the Hasbro ones are great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a bunch of them, and I got a bunch of the LJNs as well.
Yeah.
And I just to chew on the heads and
Great figures, both of those, the Hasbro
Yeah.
range and the LJN range, like they remind me of my
Yeah.
childhood as well.
yeah, yeah. Well, they were kind of my childhood, and I just kind of like smashed them together with like Batman figures and just they were all kind of part of my wrestle fed, just like Batman versus Marty Jannetty. I was just like
Yeah,
Batman always came out on top. So
as he would.
and yeah, of
Marty
course.
Jannetty is Marty Jannetty for a reason. It's not Shawn Michaels. Batman is
Crime
the Shawn
fighting
Michaels.
Batman. Yeah, Batman was taking him to justice. But so yeah, that's kind of one memory. And then I never really watched it back then. I was more so just like, oh yeah, they're cool toys. But the first memory I actually have of watching wrestling was when my nan was in hospital, and I remember she had the telly on, and I think it was like Hogan and Sting, but it was Hollywood Hogan.
Yep.
And I'm just trying to remember the event. Something's telling me it's Starcade, but
I was
maybe
going to
it's
say
not.
around '97 they had their match at Starcade. There was also
Yeah,
the Super Brawl match, which was famous as well. So
it was
it-
'97. I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah.
Starcade.
late
Yeah,
'97 for sure.
yeah, yeah. And so like I knew my half brother was always into like he was Superman and I was Batman. He was like Elvis and I was like Biggie Smalls. Like I always tried to be the opposite. So when he was like I like Hogan, I was like
Sting.
I like Sting. I like Sting hard. And he comes out with like from the rafters with the bat and the face paint and like looking like
Yeah.
pro. And I was like, yes, that's my guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my first actual memory of watching wrestling. And I just remember being hooked from that moment. And ever since then, I was like, I used to tune in. I used to try and tune into when Optus was on and showed WCW after midnight. And I remember like renting the games from Civic Video and just like smashing WCW all the time. That was my thing. So, and they held all the luchadors and the Mexican wrestlers
Yep.
and like the Japanese superstars. And I was like, yeah, this is my thing. Like this is dope. And yeah, I used to just play it for hours and hours. Used to play like WCW on Nintendo 64 all the time. And that's kind of my first introduction to wrestling, in
Yeah.
a very extended way.
Was it do you remember if it was WCW versus the World was the first one you had, or did you
I think that
get
rings a
after
bell, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
That's the one
trying to
that
find
had-
the name of it.
It had a catalog of wrestlers in there.
So many.
A lot of like Japanese wrestlers that they didn't have the licensing for, so they'd just change their name to like instead of Muda, it was like Puma or something like that.
okay.
But you knew who it was.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense.
Also, I like as a wrestling fan in Australia, we had WCW first. Like Raw and SmackDown wasn't until '98 they started playing Raw on Foxtel, and then obviously
Yeah.
when SmackDown came out, that got played as well. But
Yeah, on
we
Fox
had-
8.
yeah, on Fox 8. But we had WCW first on Fox Sports. So I remember, and then TNT for Nitro. I remember I was watching that as well as a kid because it was just what was on, and I loved
Yeah.
wrestling. Apart
Yeah.
from that, I'd borrow videos from the video store for WWF.
Yeah, yeah. I was late with so many videos. That's all I used to watch was like the WCW ones. I remember just being like, there's no way Goldberg's going to win this one.
Yeah, it's true though. It's true. As a kid, I'm like, how long can he keep this streak alive? Someone has to beat him.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I think most people in Australia that become wrestling fans, that's sort of how their first. It's either going to the video store and borrowing a video, or you happen to see it on Foxtel because that was sort of the only way.
Yeah. Well, I remember growing up and like kind of getting into my teens and stuff, and then TNA, like they had like reruns, and they had like maybe 6 month late episodes playing at the same time as like SmackDown. And I remember just being like hooked on. I think it was like Sonny Siaki and
Yes.
like the Flying Elvises.
Yeah, I love the Flying Elvises.
Man, and and they're like Jimmy Yang.
Yep.
I was just like, yep, this is the thing. And and Amazing Red. I remember like reigniting my passion for wrestling, watching Amazing Red, and I was like, yeah, okay, I think I'm gonna be a wrestler. And then I think they stopped showing it, and I was like, okay, well, I don't really want to watch like anything else. But yeah.
I think that happened for a lot of people, like TNA at the time. The X division was very like reminiscent of the cruiserweight division in WCW. So now that was gone, it was like, okay, we can see the Flying Elvises, Low-Key, Jerry Lynn, Amazing Red, all these guys having great matches. I remember the same thing. They showed it on Foxtel. I want to say the first, I don't know how many episodes, maybe 20 or so before. Then it became pay-per-view, and I was like, well, I can't afford pay-per-views.
No. My mum will beat me.
Yeah. So back to watching SmackDown and Raw and whatever else I can get my hands on.
Yeah. Well, the only time I ever really tuned into to Raw or SmackDown was to like watch 3 Minute Warning, and that was like the only interest I actually had. I was like, man, Jamal's my guy. Like
big fan.
And he was my dude. I was just like, I waited so long to get a figure, and they never brought it out.
No. I remember obviously they had Umaga figures, but I don't think they ever had 3 Minute Warning figures. I could be wrong, but I don't think they ever did. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure like the first Rosie figure was like the shit figure.
Yeah.
The superhero in training.
Yeah, but 3 Minute Warning was so cool because like just what they wore as well. These big intimidating dudes, but then they looked like gangsters.
Yeah, it felt real too. If like all the invasions that the Bischoff was running, I felt real, and I was like, "This is sick. This is what I like. I like the real stuff."
Yeah. I don't know if you ever saw, but obviously Jamal at the time got released, and he was gone for a few years before he came back as Umaga. But he actually wrestled in Japan as ECMO in Japan, and he awesome. Still in the same like Miami Heat jersey. But got to wrestle like a lot of the Japanese talent, which you can see that's like a perfect sort of mix for him and the style that he wrestled.
I'll go back and watch that now.
Yeah, definitely look it up. I think he was in All Japan for a little while, but that's when I became in my teens, as I got access to the internet more. That's when I was able to become more of a nerd with wrestling.
And you don't want to know what I did in my teens. I also got access to the internet in my teens, and I wasn't watching Forbidden Wrestling. I was watching Forbidden Things.
I mean,
playing on websites called Newgrounds and stuff like that. Okay. And Neopets.
Okay, I don't remember that. Newgrounds. Okay.
Newgrounds was like a website that was like, at least at my school, was like a little bit forbidden.
Okay.
And they blocked it from all the servers. And I was like, yeah, I got to go home and do this. And it was like just really weird things, like it was like 2D Taxi Driver mixed GTA, and you had to like ram through as many people. Anyway.
Oh, okay. No, I remember playing like certain games like that with like stick figures, and you had to do certain It was a stick figure. I don't remember what it was called.
It was all that stuff. That stuff. Yeah, just like forbidden games, like just like rotten games.
Yeah.
That was my teen years on the internet.
I remember being the same thing. Like all those ones would get banned at school. Like you weren't able to access them. Even at the time, like I think because I used to print out a bunch of things, they were banning like all the wrestling websites as well. And I couldn't get on to like WWE.com or anything like that. But I was like, okay, I'll just wait until I get home before I.
I was smashing the library printers as well. I remember in like year 5 and 6, like all my mates had like skate journals. They used to cut out skate magazines, and I was like bringing home like PWI magazine. I was just like
awesome.
Cutting out pictures of like X-Pac and TNA. I was like, this is sick.
Yeah. I was big into skating as well, and I had a lot of friends. I think in Australia it sort of goes hand in hand. The kids that sort of liked hip hop were also fans of skating. But I was much the same, where I could ride a skateboard, and that was about it. I couldn't.
Yeah, same, man.
Couldn't ollie, couldn't kickflip, nothing to save my life. So I was like, okay, I'll stop this. And then all my friends that skated basically stopped skating as well, and just got more into street art, got more into graffiti. So that's sort of what
same
I
here,
did
man.
in my
Same
teenagers.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
The teen life.
Is there a specific moment that got you into like street art or into tag and graffiti? Was there some like it was just something that happened with your friends, or
So with like on the way to school, like me and my mum would always just kind of look at all the cool street art on the way. Like look at all like we used to go past this one mural all the time. It was like of Boba Fett, and it was like maybe a block away from my school. And I was like, I want to do that one day. And Mum was like, graffiti is bad. And I was like, but you like that, don't you? She goes, yeah, that's really good. And I was like, I don't understand the gray area that you're sitting in.
yeah,
So we used to like drive by and just like see all these tags and stuff. And I just remember seeing like a couple tags that I kind of just kept popping up, and I was like, okay, I think I kind of see the parallel between bombing and painting. And
yep,
and there was I remember being in like art class, and I was like drawing like a scene from a Carnage comic book for my we had like a pop art assignment, and the kids at the back were doing like graffiti sketches, and I was like really into this Carnage sketch, and they were like, oh, that would be really cool as a mural and as a piece, and I was like,
yeah,
I think it would. And then just little bits and pieces back and forth, and next thing you know, I'm like trying to draw like bubble letters in my art book that I had all these wrestling pictures in, and and then they're like, oh, you should like just keep doing the bubble letters of the same word. And I remember my first word was like Bort from The Simpsons.
yeah, perfect.
And I just remember like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I guess I can pick a name. Sure, Bort works. And then I just kept on trying to do that. And then I just kind of got a little bit good at it. And I in like a couple of weeks, I surpassed kids that were doing it for a year. And I was like, I think I see a gap in the market here. I'm just going to like keep trying to get better and better. And maybe one day I'll cash my ticket into collaborations and pretty much like hopefully get to where I am now, but I obviously couldn't see how to get here. I was like, I'll just keep trying to do it.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, like, as an artist or people in music, myself, wrestling, those sort of career paths, like, you never know what's going to happen, but if you stop doing it, if you quit, then nothing's going to happen. And I think it's one of those things you just got to keep trying, and eventually doors open.
It's kind of like the road less traveled, hey,
Yep.
I could see, I knew very quickly that I didn't want to do just like a normal job. I remember doing like work experience, and I was at like, I think it was at the council, and they were just like, hey, I do this, like the data entry. And I must have been like 15, 16. I remember like walking out halfway through my first day. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah. No, you can swear.
Sweet.
Just go for it. All the swearing you want to. Maybe not the C-bomb, but
mittens. Yeah, no, I just remember thinking, I was like, fuck this, I don't want to do that. And then I just remember like doing my HSE and not getting the UAI or the ATAR, whatever it was called, and I was like, I don't really have any plans to go to college. I just kind of want to like, at the time I was like thieving for a living. I was like stealing and selling it. And I was like, yeah, I'll just keep doing this. I'll just keep being a criminal for my life. And like, I was like 18, 19, I just kept on getting into trouble. And I was like, I can't keep doing this. And like, I didn't like running from cops because I wasn't good at it. I was at like, I was on the plus side, and I was just like, I give up. Yeah. So the last time I got arrested, I turned around and like dropped this undercover cop. And then I was like, yeah, that's it. I obviously can't. Yeah, I'm done. And then a couple months later, one of my friends just hit me up. They were like, hey, are you still painting? I've got this commission. It's for a big client. I just need to let them know if you're available to paint. And I was like, yeah, I guess I can do it. Sure. I can't remember what the paycheck was for, but I remember finding out on the day that it was for Nokia. And I was like, oh, wow. Shit. Okay, cool. Yeah, sign me up. And then I shit the bed on the mural. I absolutely shit the bed on it.
Do you remember what like they wanted in particular for the Nokia? Was it the old Nokias, like the what were they, 3310s and stuff like that?
It was a little bit after that. It was the Nokia L90.
Okay,
that's all I remember.
Color screen by that time, I would think. Yeah,
it was like around the Angry Birds time. Like Angry Birds was hot.
Okay,
so like Nokia Lumia L90. That's all I remember. Okay. And I remember what they wanted versus what they got, and it was so different.
Hey, man, it's all it takes time to find out how to work with clients and do stuff like that. Like, I can imagine.
No idea. I
Yeah.
had no idea. I was like, I think at the same time I was what was I doing for a job? I think I was like managing a warehouse at that time. I was just
Yep.
like, I
I've
had
done
no
I've
idea.
done that road as well. I've done plenty of warehousing jobs to try and
Yeah,
keep the pro wrestling dream alive.
yeah, man.
I'm
Just like,
sure as well, like with commissions, it'd be similar for someone like myself. Like sometimes with wrestling, you want to do something specific, and then
yeah,
most recently, I had producers and coaches telling me, no, you have to do it this way, and it's
yeah,
hard, like because it is a job, so you have to do what they want, but at the same time, you have artistic integrity. And
yeah.
I'm sure that could be the same with you with commissions or anything that you
Hard.
get where you have a vision of like, this is going to be good, but then not
Mm.
necessarily, I'm assuming like big companies and stuff could want it a certain way.
But you know what, as well? I think I remember that exact switch in my head. I remember having a brief that came my way, and it was I could go down the road of giving them exactly what they wanted, which looking back, they were happy for either. I think they just wanted something colorful. So I can
Yep.
go like I can give you what I think you want, which is like a happy valley scenario with some cartoons and some happy birds and some like whatever. I can't remember who it was for, but I remember the switch in my head, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try something I want to do. I'm
Yep.
going to try something that I feel would be fun for me to do, and that I could post on my socials after. And they were stoked with like me presenting the idea of what I wanted to do. And what I wanted to do was like this really colorful graffiti looking thing with like heaps of clouds, heaps of arrows, like heaps of like 1980s graffiti subway art characters. And I was like, I'm really glad that I pitched that, because that I felt was like me at the time, as
Yeah.
opposed to like doing this happy valley scenario with cartoon animals. I was like, that's not me. That's what I think you are. And I'm kind of glad I
Exactly.
went that way.
And I
So
think I think people appreciate it as well. Like people can see when someone's put themselves into their art, and they can,
yeah,
especially like with your stuff like this, where I can tell like what you like, and like that sort of shows your life growing up, and this is what you do. Like that's
yeah.
that's my favorite sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. You got to have bits of you in there, otherwise you just bits of everyone else. And I think it takes, it's obviously in the same scenario as you, but obviously it takes that internal drive for you to just go like, nah, I kind of want to do what I want to do, and just kind of sticking to that. And then people respond. Some people don't, but it's the people that respond. It's the ones that gives you that opportunity to do what you want to do. And it's kind of worked out for me now, because now I get people asking me for what I want to do. So, which is sick.
That's
But
perfect.
yeah,
That's perfect world sort of stuff.
yeah,
Did you find? I mean, I don't know. Like with pro wrestling, and then speaking to other guests, like stuff like acting, music, and I assume art.
mm.
Did you find it was a bit more of a struggle doing it in Australia because we are a smaller country, or have you always sort of been able to land on your feet or get work?
No, there was a long time. There was a long time. I think I haven't necessarily felt like a lot of international fame at the moment. Only through
Yes.
like the wrestling stuff.
Yep.
I've actually gotten that reward. Um, it was definitely hard in Sydney. In
Yep.
Sydney, it was very cutthroat. It was like um, I would have other artists go like, "Oh, how did you get that job?" And then like they would like weasel in with the client, and
That's the
then they would also
worst.
try and get that job.
Yeah.
So
I know what that's
um,
like. Or people
yeah.
undercutting you, going like, "Okay, I'll do it, but I'll do it for $200 cheaper," and then you're like, "Damn it!" Like
Nah, man,
you're hurting
I,
everyone.
I still experience that. Hey, with a
Yep.
very well-known meme artist,
Oh
kind of
no.
shitting on the industry. Um, won't name names. That's cool.
We'll start the
But
internet beef now.
I've got internet beef. Beef is when I see you. um, yeah, and I think I experienced a lot of that in Sydney. But when I came to Melbourne, it was really cool. I really felt like an actor moving to Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you go to Melbourne for your art, you go to Hollywood for your acting, and I was just like, the difference in the industry is crazy, because I had people not going like, how did you get that job? How can I get that too? It was more like, hey, congrats on that job. I'm so stoked. And then I've just really built a really nice community around that here.
Yep.
Um, and there's been heaps of times where I've been poor. I think it took me like I think I only really felt successful like maybe 2 years ago. It was
Yep.
when I did a job for Converse, that one with the cockatoo.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
That seemed
That
to be
once I
very popular, that the
yeah
cockatoo mural. Yeah.
yeah once I did that one, I remember just internally saying to myself like, all right, that's it. That's my new launching pad. Like I can't look back now. I'm all in. But up until then, man, I remember like asking my wife for money. I was like, hey, can
Yeah.
you send me like $10? I need to go get a coffee, or can you lend me $100 to pay my bills, and then I'll pay you back. And just like consistently being debt with her. Like she was working non-stop, and I was just at home trying to make
Yes.
a living, and just like thinking, oh, do I go get a full-time job? Do I go get this? Do I go pack shelves at Woolies? Do I go back to Bunnings? Like, but nah, she helped me stuck it out. Very honestly, very, very similar to you and Paige, and
Yeah, yeah.
just
I was going to say
having
that you need,
yeah,
if you have, it's very, I know a lot of people that don't have it, but if you do have someone that will support you no matter what, and then, hopefully, I was always under the assumption like one day I'm going to make it and then I'm going to look after both of us, but you don't
yep,
know. So
no.
you really do need someone in your corner, I think.
Yeah, honestly, I think our paths are very, very similar.
Yeah.
Like, now I think it was like a year and a half ago. I don't even know how long. Brit's been at uni, like doing her masters,
Yeah,
for
that's
the
great.
past. I'm gonna say 2 years. I don't even know. It's been that long. What a wild ride COVID's been. It's been
Yes.
yeah. So
Of
she's
course,
been doing
yeah.
her master. She's been doing her masters for this long, and I remember telling her at the beginning, I was like, just don't worry about working. Just let me support you. Like you supported me for all those times I was struggling, and I felt like really safe and secure for the first time in my art career to be able to say that.
Yep.
And yeah, we've gone 2 years of me doing that, and just man,
That's
the
great.
the the internal drive is just like I've got to keep working.
Yeah, yeah, it does feel like that. Like once you do get to where you think you're comfortable, it's like, okay, I got to keep this up. I
Yeah,
myself recently, with what I've gone through now, it's like,
yeah,
okay, you're still going to have roadblocks. Like I thought, like, I'm set. That's it for the next 10
hmm
years. And
yeah,
obviously things
yeah.
change. And now it's like, okay, I got to make sure that I'm on the ball and I can still keep this going. And I'm
That's it
sure
as
the
well.
art world's the same.
Very much. Yeah. Man, like even with my side, like I'm constantly just adapting, constantly to
Yep.
like trying to add something new to my repertoire and to my resume. Like I think every 6 months I'm just adding something new and just I remember like a year ago all my style was like really, really flat illustrative stuff, and now it's
Hmm.
like now I started adding tones to my portraits, and now I'm adding a bit more color and like just adding like keeping progressing. And I found myself with a TikTok. Just like right,
Yeah.
just
Whatever
posting pictures of
works.
my dog.
Yeah, whatever gets the name out there, do it. And
Yeah,
I think
hard.
that's the best way to do things as well. Because like if you start one way and then slowly you're progressing, like people notice that as well, and they like to see
Yeah,
that like when your career is said and done, you can look back and see like a timeline of how things went,
yeah, yeah.
which is really cool.
My stocks are going to be through the roof in like 2030. Trust me. Just like I'll be
Good.
like I'm gonna be like Bitcoin in 2014. Just like
Trust me,
no looking back.
I tried to look into stocks. I had a friend here who like was like, "Hey, do this," and I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing," so I never did
Yeah, I
it.
don't know what.
But then like when all those things were happening with like AMC and
Hmm.
like some of the boys that I was working with were like making bank, and I was like, "Man, maybe I should have paid attention,"
Yeah, yeah,
but
dude.
I
I'm
didn't.
just I'm the same. I get people asking me every week to do NFTs, and I'm just like, I don't have time. I
Yeah.
don't have the energy to invest into NFTs.
I have no clue how
Uh,
that works as well. Like
Brian, me neither. Yeah,
I know you sell like an image, but I don't know how they like it has to be your own I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
know
get
either.
it.
I don't know either. I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing. I don't need NFTs right now. Put me on record for saying that right now. Date,
Okay.
time, and timestamp it.
Right now, I don't need
Timestamp
NFTs.
it.
But maybe in a
Yeah.
year's time, NFTs.
Maybe in a year's time I'll be selling my body. We don't know.
Yeah. No one knows.
No one knows. I don't know where I'll be in a year from now. Every year is different.
Yeah,
I'll be
it's true.
I could have no eyebrows in a year. You don't know
Yeah.
this.
Hey, I don't think anyone said a few years ago that would be going through a worldwide pandemic.
Yeah, I know.
I would have never have guessed that in 2019 at all.
I mean, Will Smith did in I Am Legend, and look where that got him.
Yeah, exactly. One of the
He said
highest
it.
paid
He
actors
said,
in the world.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just gonna be me and my dog walking through the streets, and then we'll see what happens. That's
Don't
what.
don't remind me about a dog scene in I Am Legend. I'll be
No,
I'll be upset for days.
I remember the happy times.
Yes, that's what you focus
I
on, the happy times and
I
the
walk out the
zombies.
room to I walk out the room to get a drink at that time. I'm just like, oh, nothing happened.
So obviously, very successful artist. Like I love your stuff, and then you
Thank you.
got into the pro wrestling scene and into the pro wrestling world. I sort of that's how I first met you was through that.
Yeah.
I think you had done a Robbie Eagles t-shirt, and then
Yeah.
that's how we met. I'm not 100% sure because my memory is terrible.
The timeline sounds about right. I remember you and I just teasing each other for a couple of months, just like
Yes,
let's do something, and we were just like, yeah, let's do something. What? Let's do something. And I
and then
remember just
eventually it
up at
happened.
a yeah, I remember just rocking up at a PWA show, just like the entire 2 hours, and I was like, and then I walked up, I was like, let's do it, and you're like, let's do it. So
That's the easiest
yeah,
way to do
but
it.
yeah, let's just do it. I think what was the first one we did? Was it the Jonah World or
No, I think we did something before that. Again, this is my terrible memory, but I reckon we did
same?
something before that.
Yeah, I think so as well.
It would have been maybe something to do with Godzilla or Monster. It would have been something around that time, but it was before the Jonah World for sure.
Yeah, we've done like 10 shirts now,
Yeah, we've done quite a
at
lot.
least, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and another one.
Oh, more and more are going to come out for sure. But I was going to
Let's
ask,
do it.
how did you get into the pro wrestling scene? Like, obviously, you had other people on pro wrestling tees before I ever got to work with you.
Yeah, yeah. I remember it was so weird. I think it was like a couple of days before Wrestle Kingdom. Am I going to say 13?
Okay. Yep.
I don't know. I can't remember. It was before
One
Wrestle
of them.
Kingdom. One of the many Wrestle Kingdoms. It was a couple of days before that, and I just I was kind of excited, and an unnamed wrestler was pretty hot at the time, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty keen for that one. And then I just did a design as like fan art, and I was like, I remember turning over and like looking over at Britt and my wife, and I was just like, I really want to. My goal this year is to do a wrestling shirt. Like, if I had one goal, it's that. I just want to see a wrestling shirt and just make it official. And yeah, like less than 3 hours later, Ryan from Pro Wrestling Tees shot me a message. He's like, I want to buy it, and I was like, that was the quickest manifestation I've ever seen in my life.
It worked.
And then yeah, honestly, and then he's like, you got any more? And I was like, yep, I definitely do. And then so I spent the next like 3 hours crafting. I think I remember working so quickly that day. I knocked out a Jay White design. I knocked out a Jay Lethal design. And I knocked out, I think it was a Young Bucks design.
Yep.
And yeah, he's like, I'll take more. I was like, oh shit. Okay, cool. And then yeah, me and Jay just kept working together. And yeah, I just pretty much just wanted to work with people that I invested in like emotionally in the characters. Like hence why I'm such a huge Rat Daddy fan, because like
Great.
I'm just like
great character.
Yeah, I'm a character guy, man. I'm just like that's why Sting popped me. I was just like, yeah, I get this Rat Daddy dude.
And I feel like with certain characters or certain people, because you know what they're like or they have that certain flair, it must be, you can come up with designs and artwork for them. Not easier, but you know that what their world sort of is.
Yeah. Well, the thing as well is because like I was doing illustrations at the time. I was doing for a couple for like some beer brands down here, like Young Henrys and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was painting murals, but slowly getting back into murals. And I remember I just had this style, just like a skateboard style, like a skateboard illustration style. And I remember looking at pro wrestling tees and like no discredit to anybody at the time, but they all sucked. They all
It's true.
sucked.
Wrestling t-shirts for the longest time have been just bad. And I think now, like artists, because of artists like yourself, things are starting to change and you're getting more interesting stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I just remember like just looking at the designs, like these suck. And like, I'm not gonna pick on Jay White or anything, but I looked at his catalog and it was like two designs. And it was like one with a silver fern and then another with like a stick figure. And I was like, man, I really, really like this guy's character, but his shirt designs suck.
Yeah,
And I remember just doing one. And I was just like, here you go, whatever. And then yeah, Ryan bought it, and then we just kept working together. And now, like, you know, Jay has one of the best shops on pro wrestling tees.
Yeah, for sure.
He's working with a couple other people at the moment, but like, man, you know, his catalog is sick.
Yeah.
All credit to me.
and of course, like, you've actually done some designs for some pretty big names within the business. Like, I remember one of the T-shirts we did, which was an ode to the entrance music I used to come out to, Guillotine. We did a Guillotine shirt, and it had a skull in the middle, and the skull you said was actually for a Stone Cold design that you did.
Yep.
Is there some names that you can name drop where because I know you've done a bunch of designs and whether they've been approved or not, but is there some big names that you remember doing?
Yeah. I'm just going to try and rattle off some. I've done, Young Bucks, Cody.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of the active ones. Yeah, you obviously, Robbie, heaps of the Australian talent like Rat Daddy and Velocities. Like the big names as well, which like the names that popped me when I did them was like Ric Flair and Vader. I did a Vader shirt, which
incredible.
I did like man, that was one of my favorite ones too. I remember it was like reading a comic book at the time, and then like the cover was, I pretty much based it entirely off that cover of the comic book, and then his son loved it, and I was like, sick. I think I did one for, I'm trying to think, Ricky Steamboat, Andre the Giant.
Yeah, amazing.
Oh man, I think
from memory, Bret Hart. I could be wrong.
Bret Hart. Yeah, I did two for Bret Hart.
I remember seeing those designs and being like, "This is really cool." When we were first coming up with designs for myself, I made sure to go through and have a look at what you did. And I remember seeing the Bret Hart ones and being like, "Wow, this is pretty fucking cool."
Yeah. Bret shot me a message. He's like, "I love this," and I was like,
yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anything you want. I've done some. I'm gonna kick myself later for forgetting, but yeah, they're the ones that stand out. I pretty much I've said no to a couple of them. I've said no to more people than I've done, but those are the ones that have excited me the most. I think, at least the ones I can remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I got to the point really quickly where I was like, I want to say no to people, and I don't want to design for everybody. There was a couple of like really awesome illustrators at the time that were just like doing designs for everybody, and like heaps of indie guys, heaps of pretty much predominantly indie guys at the time. And I was like, there's credit to me not doing designs for everyone, because I want the designs I do to feel special. I'd rather put quality over quantity. Yeah. And it makes collaborations with local talent like Rat Daddy feel so much bigger.
I agree.
So, that way, if I'm doing a design for Ric Flair, the shirt for Tommy Knight's going to be through the roof. So,
of course.
And I felt credit in that. Like I was lucky enough to be able to have other work on the side as well. So I didn't only rely on wrestling stuff, but yeah, I remember just having that really early on. Like, I'm not designing for everyone. I'm going to design for only the people that I relate with, that I can get. And if I don't get them, then I want to know that they're a nice person. So that's why heaps of the local talents got heaps of my work.
Yeah, of course. But I think that's a good way to be as well, because like it does make your stuff not only distinctive, but like, oh wow, I should get this shirt because he might not do another one for this wrestler in the future, or like it just makes it more wanted. I think like the brand JESWRI, if you see that. Well, I mean, I'm very lucky to have you design my T-shirts, so I always make sure to plug the name as well as like.
I'm very lucky to be designing said T-shirts.
Oh, thank you. I think we're both very happy. I have my Mattel figure coming out, which has the infamous Bam Bam Bigelow inspired gear but you came up with, which is it's very cool, and it's going to be on there. So I'll make sure to
collaborated
get to you as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll make sure.
collaborated with. It was a very much a collaboration between me and you. I can't
Yeah.
take credit for that.
Well, I mean, I can go, hey, I want it to look like this, but I can't do it. That's all you.
It was cool because I remember you saying like I want flames and here's my inspo, and I was like cool. And I remember I was doing these flames at the time like they were like you said really distinctive, and I was like
Yeah.
if I can get these flames over, then that's my job done. And then we did the flames, and then it just so happened that the skull came with it too, and I was like
Yeah.
man, this is sick. And then I saw it on TV, and I was like I felt like a little child just like wetting myself.
So did I.
But that's what excites me, man. That's what excites me about like doing limited stuff and like doing quantity over quality. No, quality over quantity. Shit.
Yeah.
Because like when I do see my stuff on TV, I get to like really pop over it. Like I get to lose my shit. And
Yeah.
like if I see my shirt on like everything, then it just gets numb, and I just like I'll lose the feeling. So like that gear that I did for you and the jacket as well.
Yep.
That I think that popped me more than any collaboration I did to date. Like popped me way more than the Rick and the Bretts and the Rickies and the Andres and the Bam Bams and like sorry the Vadas, not the Bam Bams. Yeah, like that was fun for me because I actually got to invest in it, and I got to like be a part of the look and the feel and the yeah.
And it's cool because like I made sure as well as much as like this crazy design that we came up with, I wore it that one time and one time only.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you said, when you're limiting how many designs you do for people, it's that same thing. Like all the time I get people going like, when are you going to wear that gear again? Or people have offered to buy it and I'm like, no, I'm not selling that one. Like that's one I'm keeping. I'm definitely keeping that one. But
you can have my socks, but you can't have my gear.
yeah. I'll buy some new socks, make out to wear them, and give them to you. But
yeah.
I'm not selling you the Bam Bam gear.
I've never understood that. I've heard of so many stories of people just wanting people's socks. I'm just like, ugh.
There's some wrestling creeps out there. Like I have sold gear to people who aren't creeps, so like genuine
of course.
wrestling collectors that I've sold washed wrestling gear, signed it, and they're good people. But then there's the people that like have contacted, not myself, I don't know why they don't want me, but some of my friends, and they go, hey, we want your wrestling like trunks that you wear under your gear, but unwashed.
Oh,
They want it after they've wrestled a match, and I'm like, these people, I don't know if they're fans. I think they're just up to no good. So
I mean, maybe they're trying to clone. Maybe they're trying to clone you.
I mean, you don't know, but trust me, you do not want my underwear after a wrestling match. Trust me.
You don't want my underwear in general.
Yeah.
One pair, one wear that's out.
Yeah.
Done.
And I think that the whole socks thing was with the women in wrestling. They get some of the best fans that want some weird things from them.
Yeah.
But speaking of socks, I don't think you'll have any on display, but can you let people know about Honey Bones? That's obviously something that you're doing at the moment and what that is.
Yeah. Or one of my many ventures.
Yes.
So Honey Bones is a gallery that me and my wife launched when we maybe about a year into Melbourne. Once again, like the old thing of, I don't know where I'm going to be for a year from now. I remember moving to Melbourne and just I needed a studio. I wanted to separate myself from home and work because I kept taking my work home with me, which would be leaving one room and going to another. And then I needed a studio so bad, and just I felt that the studios that were on offer weren't really matching my vibe or weren't really doing what I wanted to do. So I just looked into renting a commercial lease, and then it turned out that the bottom floor had a sexy little gallery element. So I was like, I guess I can just have a gallery from now on.
Yeah.
And then
very cool though.
Yeah. It still doesn't hit me sometimes, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I remember just like looking at the other galleries, and I just remember having a strong point in the graphic design, and I was like, I feel like I don't relate with other galleries. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm going to be that pirate. So I just remember like just having a joke and just having the skull and crossbones as my logo. And then people just loved it. So, it's sick. Pretty much Honey Bones is like the anti-gallery, and my wife's laughing in the background. It's like, but it's kind of just like a gallery for like emerging artists and street artists because I remember when I started trying to exhibit works, no one would have me, and I'd always go through that shit qualifying process of like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. Whereas like we go, nah, if you've got the if you're brave enough to send through some work, like we'll show it. Like
Yeah.
that's all part of it. Like I love emerging artists because they're the hungriest.
Yep.
I'd much rather work with like 100 emerging artists than one established artist, because that way I get to show people something. I get to show stuff that people have never seen before.
Yep.
But equally, the established artists are generally the ones that are harder to work with anyway. So
Yeah, I could imagine.
so yeah, and they're more grateful as well. Like you feel the gratitude, you feel the energy and the excitement when they bring a work in. You're like, check this out, and yeah, there's a level of curation that goes into it as well. Like when I put together shows, like I get to have fun. Like the Star Wars show that I put together, like the bootleg Star Wars show.
Yeah, that stuff's great. But also, like, it sort of works in both you guys' favors. Like, you get to show someone new or new artwork that people haven't seen, and then those people can get noticed as well. Like, it's a great system, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Well, nobody's really doing. Everyone really wants to work with artists that have a name or have a social media presence, and I see that even with my social media presence. I had a company come to me the other day, like, oh yeah, we see that you have like 20-something thousand followers. I was like, yeah. So they're like, oh, we want you to post our work on your stuff. I was like, nah,
it's
I'm okay. I'm good. I would post pictures of my dogs before I post pictures of you. And then, so like, and I don't really care about any of that stuff, and it shouldn't matter anyway. It should just relate. It should just come to with like the energy you bring and the quality of the work that you produce as well. So we get to work with people and change the dynamic and change the energy and because like in the art industry, I'm sure same as you as well. Like there's a lot of really bad behavior, really bad habits, and if I can have any part in like weeding that out, then I'm all for it. So I think to work with the new generation.
That's great. Like I was much the same with the Wrestle Rampage dojo back home. The way I was sort of brought into the business was I learned everything from a dude that, knew what to do and what not to do. And a lot of places around the country at the time, they didn't have teachers like that to let them know exactly like what good etiquette is or how to work around the country. So if you can get someone that can do that, I think that's great. Like,
man, you know what as well? That's why I really gravitated towards Rampage as well, because when I remember meeting you at that, I didn't meet you there, but I remember like coming to that show after in Adelaide.
Yep.
And just like the family vibe, the fact that everyone was not only down to earth, but like just happy to be there. Yeah. And just like, there's no discredit to any other promotion, but I remember just walking in that door, I was like, man, it feels like a big hug. Like I remember Rat Daddy walking up to me, like never met him in my life before, and he was just like so warm. And like AJ Istria walked up to me as well. He was like,
yep.
How was that? And I was like, man, that was sick. I really enjoyed your match. He's like, yeah, I just shit my pants. I was like, oh.
Yeah. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
No one's buying his pants.
No. Maybe. I did offer him money.
Yeah. But, I always prided myself on having a backstage that wasn't toxic and inviting for people as well.
It felt that way.
That's how it should be. It should be fun. And at the same time, if other people come and get to join in the experience, they have a fun time as well.
Yeah, it felt that way and it feels that way. And you know what? I'm really happy to say that like, Tommy Knight and Rat Daddy are some of my closest friends. And like, same as you, like, I've become friends with people in the industry, and I'd get to chat to you guys about things that are completely unrelated to wrestling, and just me and Rat just send each other memes like most days. Like now we're at the point where me and Tommy are like, I miss you, and he's like, I miss you too, and I'm just like, okay, cool.
He's genuine about that as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know.
He's a big sweetheart, that Tommy Knight.
He's so sweet. I don't think he wants people to know that, but he's so sweet. So is Rat as well. I have this credit. I've got the only Rat Daddy podcast on like ever. And I won't release it. It's an NFT.
There you go. I was going to have him on this show, but I'm like, he doesn't speak. He doesn't talk. So yeah, it's just going to be me speaking for a half an hour with him literally on screen.
Literally. And you know what happened as well? That's the funniest podcast. And it went for like 3 hours. It was like right at the peak of lockdown.
Yep.
and I think it was like only Melbourne that was in like the heavy one. And he's such a gem, man. Like I remember I was going through like a really tough day, and he sent me a message. He's like, "Hey, what's your address?" And I sent him my address, and he sent me some beers. He like two
Oh,
6 packs of beers, and I was like,
what a guy.
You're an absolute legend." And he's like, "What are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Well, I think you know what I'm doing tonight." And then we just had a podcast, and then I think it was like 2 hours deep. We were blind. We were both blind, and I forgot that I had Zoom record on, and we were just absolutely blind. And I think I remember that I was drinking. At that time I drank a whole bottle of sake. I had
Wow, that gets you as well.
that got me
One,
real.
it's smooth and easy to drink, but
Yeah,
it will mess you up.
man, I had a whole bottle of sake. I didn't realize there was a stale I had a half a bottle of stale red wine. And
Okay.
then by that point, I started getting into my wife's gin and tonics in the fridge, and like long story short, I was vomiting at the end of the night.
Well,
Um,
that's when
I
you
was
know
I was
you
fine.
did the night right.
Yeah, but on Rat's side, he was drinking like I think it was JD and chocolate milk.
Oh, wow. That's a
So
strange combination. I can't say I've
it
ever
was
done
yeah,
that.
yeah, it was a strange combination, and he got up every 20 minutes to get his cat off the roof, and next thing you know, like I think Tommy's just finishing at a party at like I think midnight or 1 in the morning, and then he jumped on the podcast, and then next thing you know, like corn dogs on the podcast, and we're just like having this four-way chat, and we're trying to prank golfers and getting up, and it's just like
Classic golfers.
classic golfers, and yeah, we're just having this four-way chat about like shooting the shit about wrestling, and just like, and yeah, it was just one of the best podcasts of that's never ever gonna be released. I might
It's
send it to you if I
something.
can find it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's something that you can keep near and dear to your heart.
I've never watched it.
Secret podcast. I mean, I
Maybe.
remember years ago, before podcasts were as much of a thing, doing a like a shoot interview with Duke Hudson now is his name,
Oh yeah. Yep.
and a wrestler now is War Pig in a Wrestle
Yep.
Rampage. And
Hmm.
we were close friends, and we did this shoot interview when we were like early 20s, and it just never saw the light of day. We just filmed
Yeah.
it, and then that was that was
Can
it.
you imagine? Can you imagine
Yeah,
it came out now?
yeah. I don't even know where it is, but to be honest, I'm sure like my views on wrestling have changed
Oh yeah.
substantially since then. So,
Yeah.
but that's something to do. Watch that podcast in like 5 years' time and see like
Oh
how it holds up.
yeah. You'll see. I'm sure that if I'm kind of scared to watch it again because I know that there's chocolate milk dribbling down Rat's chest. We're both gone. I remember like hanging up the Zoom chat, and then running in to vomit, and then next thing you know, I'm just like, my wife's just like stroking my head as I'm in the toilet, just like, hurry up, get it out.
Well, that's nice. That's nice that she was accompanying you to the toilet and letting you, getting it all out.
I still cop it for that.
Yeah. I'm one of those people, like, if I'm throwing up or anything, I violently get sick where I, like, scream as I throw up. I just can't help it. It's just, I'm a screamer when I throw up. So, like, if I know
Oh
I'm going to
man,
throw up, Paige will just, like, I'm like, get out of the room. Like, I do it, like, I like to be by myself.
just naked.
Yeah, you just scream it out, get it out, and be like, okay. And trust me, there's been plenty of times before matches where I've screamed and
Yeah.
yacked and then
Spotify,
got out there.
play JoJo. Just get out.
Amazing.
Yeah, this is my private reflection session. Get out. I
So
need to be naked.
there's some questions I have asked all the guests that come on the podcast, which I'm going to
Yeah.
do with you,
Go.
especially because of our love for pop culture.
Yes, sir.
If you could give me your top 3 movies,
Ooh. Okay. Do you want me to go down then to my top one?
if you can, yeah, up to you. However
Cool.
you want to name it, just
All
you
right.
give me
Yeah.
3.
So I'm gonna sit Step Brothers at number 3.
Okay, great movie.
Great movie. Best movie to quote. I'm at number 2. I'm gonna situate Guardians 1 and 2. Guardians of the
Oh,
Galaxy
okay.
number 1 and 2.
Yep.
Yep.
Good choice.
Yeah, I think they're very much an equal. I can't separate them.
Both great soundtracks as well.
Oh yeah. And hinting back at number 1 is the shirt you're wearing is Hook. That's my favorite movie of all
there you
time.
go. Okay,
Yeah.
Hook, one of the best. I love Hook. I remember as a kid seeing it, and just Rufio was so cool.
Rufio, man.
It
Yeah.
broke my heart when he dies. Obviously, I was a
Yeah.
huge fan of Thud Butt as well.
Oh, Thudbutt. I've got a toy of Thudbutt somewhere.
Ah, does he roll?
Yeah, he rolls. I don't know where it
Oh,
is. I'll find it. I'll find it. I'll send you a picture.
oh,
I've got a
amazing.
Rufio figure that sits in my DeLorean that I've got here.
Ah, perfect. Look at him. That looks
Looking
so like of the time. Like, of course, that's what figures
very.
looked like then.
It looks exactly like him.
Yeah, not like the figures today that are like die cast and
Oh
they
yeah,
look
I
like
know.
perfect.
Mold. Yeah, 3D scans. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's my favorite movie, man. I remember like watching that, and for the first time, I still get like chills when he's like, "Looky, looky, I got hooky," and then he just gets killed. I was like, "Oh no, you've let me
Yeah.
down." The false finish.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming as a kid at all. And it's
No.
just, again, it's such a great movie as well, like Robin Williams. And anything
Oh man.
he's in, I'm a big fan of, but that one
Yeah.
specifically as a child is like something that I'd always go back to.
That dinner scene when he transforms into Pan,
Yeah,
I
so
get
cool.
chills, man.
Yeah, it's so cool. And Dustin Hoffman, of course, as Hook,
Yep.
like, great. Great as the
Yeah,
villain.
such a good movie. I can watch that like back to back for days.
Yeah, yeah. I think they're like the movies that you can watch nonstop from a kid till now. Like, of course, they're going to be your favorite movies. Much like Step Brothers, when that first came out, I've watched that 100 times since, just because
Yeah.
you can just put it on and watch it. Like, it's not like you don't even need to pay attention because I've seen it so many
No.
times.
Yeah. Today I
It's
saw
still
my
good,
own
it's still
son
funny.
use a bicycle as a weapon.
Amazing. Very, very quotable movie.
Oh yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so
100%.
moving on from movies, can you give me your top three musicians or bands?
Okay. Well, unfortunately, it's pretty much all hip hop. So
Hey, I'm good with that.
sick. So number three. Oh, it's hard to pick a number three. Just
It's
so many.
hard. I'm one
Yeah,
of those
I could.
people, when people ask me these questions, can you give me like top three? I'm like, no, I can't. Like, because I
Yeah,
love so much, but I always just give three of like my favorites.
yeah. I can give you my top two easy. I'm just trying to think of my third. I'm gonna go third. Eric B and Rakim.
Oh, amazing. Rakim is one of
Yeah,
the best lyricists of all time.
hard, hard.
100%. And a lot of the time, the new generation of hip hop fans don't quite
Mm,
understand how good he is.
yeah, yeah, hard. Um, Number two. Um, Might be a bit controversial, but Slick Rick.
Oh, Slick Rick, amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
Such a great MC.
man.
Very much for his lyrics, like all that, like, sorry, Rakim, Slick Rick,
Mm,
Big Daddy Kane, those guys were so
mm,
good lyrically, but you don't
yeah.
realize because they had this flow that seemed so
So
effortless.
smooth, so
Yes.
smooth. Their bars were ahead of their time. You know,
Yep.
they're like the fact that they changed their AABB to like, you know, AABBCC and then like threw in an F somewhere. So like,
Yep.
man, their bars are sick.
I know
Um,
a funny story about Slick Rick. Uh,
oh,
13-year-old, no, maybe I was 14 at the time. 14-year-old Jonah bought a ticket to a concert that was touring around Australia called Legends of Hip Hop,
oh yeah,
which
okay,
was Cool Keith, Big Daddy Kane,
yep.
and Slick Rick. And I was so happy to go and see this and be like, oh my God, I'm going to get to see Big Daddy Kane, Slick Rick, all these people. And it got cancelled.
Ah, yes, what I thought. I was like, I don't think
Yeah.
I've seen that. I remember I would have gone.
Yeah, because Slick Rick wasn't allowed into the country.
Oh, of
So,
course, yeah,
yeah,
of course.
I'm not 100% sure why. Something to do with some sort of.
Probably the children's story. It's probably all dependent on
Yeah.
the children's story.
Yeah, so I never got to see Slick Rick, but hopefully one day. And speaking of Big Daddy Kane, I actually watched the Versus recently. Big Daddy Kane and
Oh,
KRS-One. That's really cool. You should
oh,
watch that if
I
you
haven't
can.
seen that yet. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah,
I
very
think
cool.
I tuned out of the Versus stuff when I think Fat Joe was on. I was like,
Yeah, okay. Well, I watched the Fat Joe one. I'm still a
did
fan
you?
of Fat Joe. Yeah, it was Fat Joe and Ja Rule.
That's
Very,
right. Yeah,
very 2000s.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Well, I guess my number one. It's hard to pick. I feel like feel like I needed a fourth. I was gonna say Biggie, but I feel like Biggie's too easy.
but I
So I'm just
love.
gonna stick with
I'm with you because if people ask me like my top three, Biggie's in there
Biggie's easy in there. I think
because he's
Biggie is.
just he's one of the best ever. Like you can't.
I feel like Biggie is my top three, but
Yeah.
I think as just trying not to be the easy go to.
Yes.
I'll give you the easy one, which is equally just as commercial. But Wu-Tang,
Oh,
they're my number one.
yeah, Wu-Tang. When people ask me about Wu-Tang, they're definitely in there, my top five. Even though
Yeah.
there's more than one MC,
Oh, I
but
know. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm talking like Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers,
yes,
skipping all the way through to the W.
okay, yep.
I don't.
36
I don't. I'm not.
Chambers is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's
Hard.
just
Yeah.
every track is just amazing. Like it's incredible.
Man, I've started collecting cassette tapes recently.
Yep.
And I picked up the 36 Chambers mint as well. I'm like, I'm never letting that go.
Yeah, that's
never letting it
amazing.
go.
It's so, it's one of those albums, much like how we're talking about the movies, like Step Brothers and stuff like that. You can put that album on and listen for like start to finish easily. Like it's something that every time I hear it, I don't go like, I'll skip this track or I'll skip that
Nah.
one. I can just
Even
listen to it.
Even the skits as well, the interludes.
Yeah.
Like, you just listen through it, and you know what? It's even reignited my love for like Shaolin cinema recently as well. Like last night, I'm not going to tell you where I was mentally, but let's just say I was having a great time.
Yeah.
And I was watching Shaolin versus Wu-Tang, and I was so invested. I was so invested. And Britt was sitting there next to me. She's like, I have no idea what's going on. And I was like, well, here we go. And then she's like, yeah, even though you've explained to me what's going on, I still have no idea, and I'm going to bed, and you can stay up and with your head in the clouds watching Wu-Tang Shaolin.
Yeah. I was much the same. Like I was a big Bruce Lee fan, so I watched. I loved all his movies. But then as a teenager, I didn't really care for kung fu movies. But I was such a fan of Wu-Tang, and then hearing all these interludes and stuff, I'm like, I want to see these movies. And same thing, I went and watched all these like crazy kung fu movies that I remember. I think at some point I read like a RZA interview, and he listed like his favorite movies, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna illegally download all of them and watch them.
Anything with Gordon Liu, you're sweet.
Yeah, sweet.
Even that, you know, like a Shaolin cinema aside, there's heaps of like the Chinese martial arts movies that are just like timeless. Anything Jackie Chan, you can like
Police Story.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah, best. And like, you know, Stephen Chow as well, like with Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer. The comedy side of it is amazing.
Yeah.
I think I would highly recommend anyone watch Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's great.
Such a good movie. Even Kung Pao as well, which even technically not Shaolin cinema, like it's still a great watch.
Yeah, it's still fun to watch, but
horrible movie.
Kung Fu Hustle, very good, directed really well, and also all the kung fu is great.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah,
the Axe Gang.
My last thing I'm going to do with you is it's not questions. I've done it with the last two guests. I came up with a game called Grade the Wrestler.
Oh, okay.
And what I'll do is I will name off 10 random wrestlers. Yeah. And you just give me a grade for each from A to F.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so
I'll try.
Yeah, I'll make sure it's like people within your field that
amazing.
You can grade. Hopefully, honestly.
I'll try. Don't give me anything. No, I'll shit the bed with it. I need to get like a who's who and an everything from you with anything Japanese wrestling from early like 70s onwards.
I can do that very easily for you. Okay.
Sick. I need to get into it.
First wrestler, Vader.
B.
Okay, good grade. Jay White.
I feel like I need to say A. No, I'll say A.
A? Okay,
I'll say A. Yeah, I'll say A. Easy A. I'm still invested in his character, so I'll say A.
Okay, perfect. Robbie Eagles.
A.
Great.
Good guy. He's now champ, so I feel like I can't.
Double champion. Who would have saw that coming? Like, I was fortunate enough to see him not long ago. He visited here in the USA, and I was so proud of him for becoming junior champion. Like, that's incredible in its own right. But now as a junior tag champion as well, like, he's killing it in New Japan, killing it.
He's one of the only I'm going to say one of the only stars over there to actually be champ status. So he's actually in a very small window of people. So that's sick.
Yeah, I'm very proud of him.
Me too.
Ricky Steamboat.
I'm gonna say a C.
C.
I haven't seen much of Ricky Steamboat stuff. I've seen enough to know that he's fantastic, but
he is very good. Yeah, but
I feel like he was way ahead of his time. So the only reason I'm giving him a C is because everyone he worked with, I think, couldn't work. Not everyone, but like a lot of the people he worked with couldn't showcase how good he was.
Yeah, he was such an elite level of not just wrestling but like cardio as well. He was an absolute machine. So
Dragon.
there was those few like Macho Man,
Yeah.
Steve Austin, Ric Flair that could actually go with him, and that's when you had Magic. But I can understand the C grading. Ultimate Warrior.
F.
F. There we go. F. Eddie Guerrero.
Oh man, AAA plus.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Eddie was me and my mum's favorite all through. Like, yeah, my mum had a massive crush on him.
Yeah,
and she was like,
he's so good, Eddie Guerrero. Just like a pure technical wrestler, but at the same time, he just had this like style to him. Like he was very lovable character as well.
Oh, so lovable. Yeah. I think he was the first wrestler. I cried for like weeks. Weeks, man. And like I still can't listen to I still can't listen to Three Doors Down without thinking about him. So my mum used to crush on him so hard. She had a poster of him in her room, and I was like,
amazing.
It's kind of weird, mum. So,
weird but cool at the same time.
I have props for my mum for that.
Yeah, of course. Caveman Ugg.
Caveman Ugg. I'm gonna give a B because he's looking to retire. So he would have.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I've been trying to keep up with the scene, and I've seen like some of what's happened. And obviously, this last year or so has changed the scenes everywhere. But yeah, B it is. This next one, Rat Daddy.
Oh, is there a letter past A?
No, I mean there probably is.
I'm gonna go AAA again. Getting the AAAs.
Okay, Rat Daddy. Bray Wyatt.
Man, I think early on he was a bit of a ham and egger, but I think the Fiend, and now he's at the Fiend and telling true rich stories and like stories that like work back catalog. Definitely a AAA. I love the stories, man.
He's so cool at having a vision. Like he's all those characters from obviously like the cult leader that he was, and then Eater of Worlds, and then the Fiend was all his stuff, and like you could tell as well because like he was telling stories about a blonde-haired creature in the woods. I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then that came to fruition later. I was like, man, this storytelling, like the years and years of storytelling, that's what I invest in. Is like someone that can go 3, 5, 10 years, 30 years, and just still have a constantly evolving story, but still links back to the early stuff. Yeah,
that's why Jericho as well. Like Jericho stuff for me is amazing.
He's been so good at like still remaining Chris Jericho, but being able to reinvent himself every couple of years to where it's something new, but still that classic like Chris Jericho that you want to see. It's like
a book, really. It's like next chapter, really. I feel like so many people, and whether it's wrestling, whether it's whatever, you don't have to stick with chapter 1 forever.
No, that's why great advice.
That's why I'm excited to see the next chapter of Mr. All Caps.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Last Wrestler, Doink the Clown.
Ooh, I had an action figure of Doink.
So the Hasbro, you would have had the Hasbro for sure.
Yeah, I'll give him a D. I'll give him a D for Doink.
D for Doink is a passable grade though.
Passable grade, and the reason is because there's so many Doinks, so each one brought their own thing, so he gets a D for Doink.
Okay, D for Doink. Well, that was all that I had for today for the podcast. Would you like to let people know where they can find you online?
So you can find me on Google by Google searching my name, JESWRI, pretty much the entire front page. So yeah, anything JESWRI. You can find my gallery, Honeybones Gallery, wherever you look. And my new business venture called Wall Lords.
Oh, there you go.
We hand paint billboards.
That's really cool. That's cool. Hand painting.
Nothing billboards. I can't do.
So, all capitals. You can find me at JESWRI.
You can find me on OnlyFans.
Really? Because I was going to say, hey, you could put some exclusive art on OnlyFans.
Hey man, I'm a big fan of monopolizing the internet. So if anything has a platform, you can find my tag after it.
Yeah. Well, obviously now you're saying TikTok, right?
Yeah, I don't use it. I just upload pictures of my dog. Now you can catch me at on the new Metaverse or whatever it's called.
Okay.
I'll be I don't know. I'll figure out how to get my name on that too.
He's everywhere. All capitals.
You know what I'm talking about, the new Facebook meta thing?
No, I have no clue.
Oh shit. Okay. Well,
We'll talk about this afterwards.
welcome to the internet, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you for being a guest, Jess. JESWRI, not JESWRI, all capitals, JESWRI.
My man.
Thank you once again. And there you have it, my interview with JESWRI. I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, if you want to get this figurine, you can go to Ringside Collectibles. You can hit them up on Instagram, Twitter, or ringsidecollectibles.com. And they actually have a second pre-order for these figures because they were so popular. So make sure you don't miss out. Make sure you get your little Bronson Reed while you can. And as always, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Trying to get those subscriptions up. And I hope you all have a great week. And I will see you next time.